Momma Braga, força do coração. Momma Braga. Eu sempre com razão. Dance under the sun, feel the earth below. Momma Braga, Momma Braga.
Oh. And welcome to another edition of Momma Braga Unfiltered. Today's guest is Steve Melo, aka Bang Fate, the creative force behind Comedy Portuguese, the guy who turns every Luso family moment into comedy gold. His music, graphics, and pure Portuguese chaos have made him a voice for the Portuguese community and a fan favorite everywhere. But today on Momma Braga Unfiltered, we're going deeper. This episode will bring out a different side of Bang Fate as we open up an important conversation, type 1 diabetes in children, a topic close to his heart and one that deserves real attention. Get ready for honesty, insight, and a powerful look behind the comedy. Welcome.
Thank you. That was such a nice intro.
Oh, thank you. I wrote it myself. That's why I read it myself.
Well, there you go.
So for the interview, do you want me to say Bang Fate or Steve?
Either, whatever. I mean, people know me online as Ben Fate, obviously, but yes, my real name is Steve Melo. I realize there's another Steve Melo doing comedy as well. It's a coincidence, but in hindsight, it's actually good that I go by a different name, so there's no confusion. But you can call me Steve, you can call me Ben. People won't. If you're doing the interview and happen to say Steve one time or Ben another time, I'm sure people will know you're talking to me since I'm the only
Hopefully,
one
because
here.
there's nobody else. No one's gonna
There's
pop out
nobody.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
I know we're called Unfiltered, but we're still like.
I know sometimes when we do when we've been on our other friend Steve's dub podcast, it gets confusing because even him himself, like sometimes he'll call me Steve and be like, no, I meant the other Steve, or
It becomes confusing, that's for sure. I know too many Steves.
Yeah, exactly, right.
But I do want to thank you for coming because we are going to get personal. We are going to be talking about your personal life and your children. And for those who don't know, especially in the Portuguese or I guess European community, we don't talk about what happens in our family, whether someone's suffering from disease or illness. It's very rare to talk about it. And it's important to talk about it because it helps other parents hearing other parents' lived experience. So thank you for coming out to speak about type 1 diabetes. We'll get into all of that. I'm just touched that you came. And the best part, too, I have to say, is that you're a father. And it's very rare to see fathers speak out. It's usually the moms that are always out talking. So this is like the golden episode. So let's start with how it all started. I guess, how did you know your children had type 1 diabetes? Like, how did it come up? Were they born with it, or did it happen through time?
So they definitely were not born with it. So I have three boys. My two oldest are type 1 diabetics. Now, when my first son was diagnosed, that was during that was in October 2020. So, we were in COVID, everyone was told to stay home. And up until that point, I had no knowledge of type 1 diabetes or how it starts, what the signs to look for. My first boss growing up had type 1, and every day I would see him have to give himself an insulin injection, and I never questioned it, just my own youth and and inexperience. That's not my problem, right? That was my whole mentality. Like, it sucks, but not my problem. Looking back now in hindsight, had I questioned it more, asked more questions at the time, I would have known more about it. I would have known the signs, but I was young. I was an I didn't think to, I looked at it like, okay, it sucks for him, but not my problem. When we're young, we think, okay, we're
invincible.
We're invincible, whatever. But My first was diagnosed in October 2020. We didn't see the signs. Basically, it was but looking back at it now, there were signs. He was all of a sudden he was thirsty all the time. Can I have some
Mhm.
water? Can I have something to drink? Can I have something to drink? And he was going to the bathroom a lot, urinating. And those, again, if you have kids of your own, and all of a sudden you see a sudden change in their appetite and them having to go to the washroom all the time and them drinking all the time, those are signs of the body because their glucose levels are going insanely high. And that's just the body's natural response. Like, I need water. I need to relieve myself. So again, but at the time we were kind of oblivious to it because our oldest son has always been very, very tall, like way above the percentile. So we just like, oh, he's growing again, or he's going through another
Mhm.
growth spurt again. Like he's 13 now and he's 6'4". So
Oh, wow.
we wouldn't. So back when he was 9, we're not questioning it, but those were the signs. And then it got to the point where the one night he started vomiting, and we just okay, he's got a stomach bug, as most parents would
Mhm.
assume. But my wife, who was in her last year of schooling to be a nurse, she noticed when we were putting him to bed that he was actually starting to wheeze, like when he was breathing,
Okay.
and his feet were turning blue. And she's like,
Wow.
something's wrong. This isn't just a stomach. Her gut told her, her paternal
Mhm.
mother instinct told her something's wrong. So this was like 10 o'clock at night. I like, okay, well, let's go to the hospital. We're not going to chance anything. So I made the drive to the hospital. We went to Woodstock Hospital because we're kind of right in between Woodstock and Brantford.
Mhm.
I went to Woodstock because just from my experience in Woodstock, it's a newer hospital, quicker. You're in and out quicker. So I'm like, okay, it's a little bit of a further drive, but it's 10 o'clock at night already anyways. So we went to Woodstock. We go into the emerge, and right away, the person that was working there, the nurse, they noticed, okay, like he was just kind of peeled over on his chair, and he's like, something's wrong. Like he got us in the back right away, like no questions
Mhm.
asked. Like he just kind of sensed it. And I kid you not, like walking in through the front doors, just thinking my son's got a really bad stomach upset. That was, I'm still thinking, okay,
Yeah.
like, he's a kid, he got sick. Oh yeah, not thinking about that at all. But like in 15 to 20 minutes before walking through the doors, we were in the back room. He's got IV hooked up in one arm and blood getting drawn from the other arm. And in those 15 20 minutes, yeah, the doctor took me in the hall and said flat out, like, his glucose is like 25. And I'm like,
Oh,
what is that?
wow.
I'm like, what does that mean? I don't
Mhm.
know what that means, right? And
Yeah.
first time I'm even hearing the term
Yeah.
glucose, right? Which is pretty much his blood levels. He's like, that means, can't say for sure, but all the signs are saying that he's got type 1 diabetes. And I just floored me, right? Completely.
Yeah.
And then right away, my mind starts shooting back to the only experience of type 1 in my life, which was my old boss, you know,
Mhm.
needle injections every day. And right away, like that's going through my mind, like, he's gonna have to get needles every day. Oh my God, this is terrible. But it quickly went from that to his glucose just kept skyrocketing and going up. So
Oh, wow.
next thing I know, I'm calling my wife. I'm letting her know. Next thing I know, I'm in the back of an ambulance. They're taking us to London
Oh,
because
wow.
London has a pediatric care
Mhm.
facility. So it went from like it was just a blur going from a stomach ache to your son's got type 1 to we need to get him in the ambulance to London. To the time we got to London, the nurse there, when they got him in, made a mistake. They gave him IV, but they gave him IV with sugar
Oh, my
in the
God.
bag, causing his glucose to skyrocket even further,
Oh, wow.
um, to the point where he went into DK, like he shot past 30 at that point. And just for people that don't know, when someone like who doesn't have type 1 diabetes,
Mhm.
your glucose should always be between 4 and 7. That's
Mhm.
normal. That's in range, as they say. So he's past 30 at this point.
Wow.
Um, he went into what they call DKA, a diabetic coma. So the mistake was found out. I'm furious, of course.
Of course.
I'm trying to wake up my son. I'm yelling his name and he's not responding. So the worst is going through my head right at this point.
Hmm.
But yeah, long story short, it was a traumatic night. He he was able to recover, obviously, because he's still here today, but
Yeah.
that was the experience. So, and the other big one, and again, we never noticed, if you notice your kids losing weight, they're still drinking a lot of water, they're still
Hmm.
urinating a lot, but we didn't even notice the weight loss. We were just kind of in our everyday routine.
Yeah.
But he had lost in those 2 weeks 22 pounds.
Oh, wow. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
because your body's being deprived
Yeah.
from, because who knows how high he was and we use the term high. I know it sounds like, high from smoking weed, but that's a term parents actually use. Like, who knows how high his glucose actually was, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we were in London for about a week, and then we got him home, and then yeah, from that moment on, I should say, yeah, life was just life as we knew it was completely different. And then
And how old was he again?
he was 9.
9.
Yeah, so um, and then we thought, okay, our kind of conclusion was like, okay, look, my wife doesn't have a history of it on her side of the family. I don't have a history of it on my side of the family. Like, I have older relatives that have type 2, but I think a
Hmm.
lot of Portuguese people do. Um,
That bread.
yeah, that bread, man, those carbs.
Yeah.
So we just assumed at the time that, okay, maybe he got COVID. Him being a kid, he didn't show any signs because most kids don't. It weakened his immune system because type 1 is an autoimmune disorder. It weakened his immune system and then it triggered it, and that's how he got it. Didn't think that was our kind of like
You're trying to rationalize it.
rationalize it, but
Yeah.
there was also at the beginning a lot of like guilt. What did we do? This is our
Yeah.
fault. What did we do? But it was just kind of like, yeah, that was our kind of like general consensus was okay, like maybe he got COVID. We didn't know. It weakened his immune system. He got type 1. And then we just went on with life and learning about type 1 and having to give him insulin needles every day and checking his blood by, that's another needle.
Hmm.
And then, a couple years passed, and before my second son turned 9, all of a sudden we noticed he was drinking a lot.
Oh dear.
We noticed he was going to the bathroom a lot. Uh, and then one day, because we knew the signs now at this point,
Hmm.
one day my wife just said, "You know what?" She took my oldest son's glucometer, as they call it. She pricked his finger to see what his blood was, and he was 22.
Oh
So
wow.
before we even got him to the hospital, we knew. And yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, you have the experience now, you know what to do. It should be a little easier," but it's not. You're now having to do what you were doing every day for one child and times it by two, just like
Yeah.
that, out of the blue.
Yeah.
So now that when my second, so thankfully with my second, I will say we because we saw the signs early, he didn't go into DKA. He was treated rather quickly, and it was controlled and maintained. But now, again, like I said, now we have another child. We have questions. Okay, now why are we 2 for 3 here?
Hmm.
Is this something that has to do with my genetics and my wife's genetics? We don't know. But that that's the situation. It sucks. I wouldn't wish it on any other parent, but one thing I will say is when my oldest was diagnosed and we were at London Hospital for that first week, again, I just went through like the worst moment in my life. But I remember walking the halls and looking, like I said, we were in the pediatric wing. I remember looking at like just through into other rooms on my walks out of curiosity, like, oh.
Hmm.
And I remember seeing other kids there, no hair, no eyelashes, Obviously we know what they have. At least in my situation, I know my kid's coming home.
Yeah.
And I can't say that for certain with another family. There are Are their kids going to recover from this? Are their kids going to come home?
Yeah.
As horrible as type 1 diabetes is, as long as you're on it, as long as you're as long as you're on it and you keep, you stick to a routine and you're in control of it. It's not in control of you. It is manageable. Um, but I couldn't say the same for those other families. So that kind of helped put it into perspective, like, okay, why is this happening? What did we do to deserve this? What did I do? Is this my fault? All these thoughts are going through your head, right? But then that kind of just, as terrible as a realization as it was, it did help put it into perspective for me. Like, hey, my kid's coming home.
Hmm.
There's multiple other families on this very floor that probably can't say the same. So, you're a little grateful, you're angry, you're numb, you're going through all these range of emotions, but the perspective is clarity. It's kind of like, okay, like, just at least, it could always be worse, as awful as it is to say, right?
Yeah.
So,
So after you became now this type 1 diabetes dad, how has it reshaped, I guess, fatherhood and the role within your family?
um, basically, you know, like I'm still a father, obviously. It's not something that I ever expected growing up, saying, yeah, one day I'll get married, one day I'll have kids. And but that's not a part anyone ever thinks about. They just think of like, they don't think of like, hey, what could happen or what's life going to throw at you that's out of your control, right?
Hmm.
Basically, like as terms of my role as a father, like obviously I'm still their father, but I'm their father in a way that most fathers aren't. I'm always looking at my watch and seeing what their levels are at. And right now, thankfully, they're both in range because I made sure of that before I started this interview.
Hmm.
It's still being a father, but still being more perceptive of what's going on. Like it's hard to explain. Like unless you yourself are like a type 1 diabetic family, like nobody knows what we go through. It's running on fumes. It's getting 4 to 5 hours sleep a night. It's finally getting to bed and alarms going off because one child's glucose is too high, and then managing it, getting out of bed, managing it, going back to bed, and then an alarm going off because the other child is too low. And now we got to wake them up and make sure they
Yeah,
eat
I was gonna
something.
ask about that. What happens when it goes low?
So basically, when their glucose goes too low, you got to wake them, or if they're already awake. So basically, when the glucose goes, they pretty much below 4, 3. That's kind of like danger zone. So you got to get something in their system, something. The misconception is, oh, you got to get sugar in them. It's not. It's a lot. There's a big misconception with type 1 diabetes and sugar. Oh, sugar causes type 1 diabetes, or oh, they're going to pass out. They need sugar. It's not sugar at all. It's carbs. The more carbs you consume,
Mhm.
the more insulin you're going to need to keep your glucose in range. And
Mhm.
again, that's something I had to learn because like everyone else before this all happened, I thought the same thing. Oh, sugar bad, diabetes bad,
Mhm.
but basically if they're going too low, you got to wake them up, give them, usually I stick to milk because it's got carbs in it and it's not going to spike them rapidly. It's a slow rise into range. Again, that's just something I've learned. In the beginning we were panicking like orange juice, but then we know this like there's too much and then they spike it
Yeah.
too hard. So it's literally a roller coaster because like someone that doesn't have it, our glucose is always between 4 and 7, and we're kind of on a straight line. Kind of, we
Hmm.
dip up, we dip down, but we're kind of like it's a steady line, so
Yeah.
to speak. And with type 1, they eat, they go high. They get insulin, they go low. They eat, they go like
Oh
it's
wow, it's a roller coaster.
literally, if that's
Wow.
the best way to kind of visually explain it.
Yeah.
I'm a visual
See
learner,
it.
so
Yeah.
um yeah, so basically there's no normal days. It's sleepless nights. It's like when if we can just sit and watch a movie without alarms going off, that's a win for us.
Wow. That I don't know how you do it. The only experience I've had with diabetes is gestational diabetes. So
Okay.
um, I do know about pricking the finger, and that was the first thing that I
Yeah.
started crying about when the doctor's like, "Oh, you have gestational diabetes." I'm like, "Oh my God, I need to prick my finger." And I would cry because my
And
mom is diabetic, so I
oh,
would see her
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family, almost everybody has diabetes. So
And
I
when you
see,
say type 2, right?
yes,
Okay.
my mom.
But your mom has type 1 if she has to give herself needles, correct?
No, that's just to
Oh,
check
oh,
her.
just sorry. Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah.
she has type 2.
Yeah.
My aunt had type 1.
Gotcha.
So I would see her,
Okay.
and that was like my biggest fear. So when the doctor said I had diabetes, so I had to check my finger, I was like, oh my God, no. And then he's like, oh, there's a chance it could go away. I'm like, I pray it goes away. And again, it wasn't, and I'm glad you brought it up. It's not your sugar intake, it's those carbohydrates, which is interesting. That affects the liver too, as you know. I have a liver disease, so those
Yeah.
carbohydrates are the evil, evil ones because they have sugar.
And here's a fun fact not a lot of people know about diabetes. Your liver will actually store sugars.
Yes.
So there's a lot of times where if a type 1 diabetic is going low and you don't get some type of carb into their system before it gets
Hmm.
really, really low, your liver, as like a last resort, will actually pump out, so
Yeah.
to speak, sugar into
Yeah.
your bloodstream uh as like a last resort. But like that in itself, like again, I never knew that stuff, but I
Yeah.
do now. Um yeah, so that you said liver, and then I just associated it with the only thing I know about the type 1
Yeah, it's
and how
it's
the liver
amazing how
works.
the liver's connected to so many things that no one really knows. So
Yeah.
there is a huge connection with liver and diabetes. It's
And,
like
and
they're
and speaking of connections, since we're on that kind of topic there, one thing I did learn after all this, because basically I'm the kind of guy where like I can't just be sitting still for too long with nothing to do. Either I always have to have some type of creative project, rather it be the comedy, rather it be the music, rather it be yeah, like I can't I can't not ever do nothing. I gotta always be working on something. So like for me, when I first got diagnosed, like I dove head first into type 1 diabetes, like just dove right into it, like to learn as
Mhm.
much as I could about it as possible. Because in my mentality, the more I know, the more I'm prepared to deal with situations, the more knowledge I have. And that to me, that knowledge is power to kind of
Mhm.
just control the situation and try to manage the situation as best as possible. So, one thing in my research that I did learn, speaking of connections, is since COVID, juvenile type 1 diabetes like cases, new diagnosis have skyrocketed by 300%.
Wow.
Like that's no small number. And early on, when I first was diagnosed, I had joined a lot of like Facebook groups, like type 1 diabetic parents and this and that, just for support, because there's
Mhm.
really no one else you can talk to about it without them just saying, "Oh, it's going to be okay. You got this." The usual. They mean well,
Yeah.
but they really don't know.
Yeah.
And like I said, unless you are a type 1 diabetic parent, you don't. So those groups were very helpful in the beginning, but even then, it got to the point where every day I would get a notification, oh, and it's a new parent. My son was just diagnosed, or my daughter was just diagnosed, and it was usually accompanied with a photo of them, their
Oh,
child, in a hospital bed, either in DKA. And then right away, that brought me back to a terrible moment in my life. So the support was great in the beginning, but then it got to the point where it's like, okay, now this is just kind of like
too much.
trauma inducing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and you want to help other parents the same way they helped you in the beginning. So it's bittersweet. Like, what do you do in that moment? Do you just okay? Do you understand exactly what they're going through because you were in their shoes, but at the same time, every day you're being reminded of that moment, right? But that's to my point, that's the level of how many kids now since COVID are getting diagnosed. So there's my theory in the beginning where, yeah, maybe my son got it, it weakened his immune system, and boom, it triggered it. But now with two, is it a combination of both? Is it a combination of my wife's genetics and my genetics? There is genetic testing you can do, but it's not exactly free.
No, it's expensive.
Um, yeah, so it's like, when what do you do? And then the worst part of it all, and this is just me speaking honestly and candidly, like I said, I have three boys. My
Hmm.
oldest is 13, my middle is 10, my youngest is 7. There is that anxiety and ticking time bomb feeling where, okay, my oldest two were diagnosed around, like, my oldest was 9, and my second was just before he turned 9. Is my youngest going to be done? Are we going to go through
Yeah,
this all over again when my youngest turns 9? Is there going to be a trigger? Are we
yeah.
going to get lucky and he's going to go get through unscathed? Those thoughts run through your mind, right? And
How
like
do
I
you
said,
sleep?
yeah, sorry,
How do you sleep? You can't sleep with that thoughts.
you I don't. I'm always up late at night and just working on side projects or working on something, but I'm working, but I'm also
Still
okay.
checking.
My one son's going high. Oh, my one son. I do this every 5, 10 minutes, so to
Yeah,
speak. You know, it just becomes, it's all I know now, right? It's life.
yeah. So would you say that for those who don't know, and I'm going off script completely, as you know,
So,
I wrote such great questions, but I'm going off
yeah,
script. So I'm just gonna let
I,
it flow.
you know what? We're having a
Yeah,
conversation.
we're just having a conversation.
I have some point forms on my screen. I haven't looked at them once.
Yeah, so
We're,
that's good.
we're,
But
we're
like,
just talking. So,
what would a normal, even though there's no such thing as normal when you're dealing with any condition, but what does a normal day look like in your family? Let's say like a weekend day, because I know weekends would be way different than a weekday because there's school.
weekends are way more better than during the week. Because during the week, we
Hmm.
obviously, on top of having to worry about type 1 diabetes, which is every day,
Hmm.
during the week, though, it's a lot more routine and by the books. Whereas, the weekend, we don't have to worry about school. So I'm not waking up having to make 3 sets of lunches, two of which I have to meticulously carb count
Oh, wow.
and put the carb counts on their lunch. So they know when they're at school how much insulin they need to counter those carbs.
Wow.
It's not just making school lunches in the morning, which most parents
Yeah.
I know hate, myself included, right?
Yeah.
Because what are they going to eat? Who so and so is not going to eat this and that. But
Yeah.
it's knowing how much carbs are in their foods. It's knowing which foods are carb free. Because if they're not, if they're eat, they can if they're eating foods that are carb free, then they don't need insulin. If they don't need insulin, they're here, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you quickly learn, like, okay, your cheeses, your meats, your vegetables, those are like the three go-tos in terms of no carbs, right? Um, but yeah, it's a lot of carb counting, and then it's a lot of meal prepping, to kind of figure, okay, like, what are they going to eat when they get home? Um, yeah, and even when we go, like, say on the weekend, we go out to eat, which I know a lot of people can't afford to do these days with
Yeah.
inflation, and that's why
It's
so
true.
many small restaurants are closing. But even when we would go out to eat, we'd order our food, and when the food comes, it's like, okay, no, no, you can't eat yet, and okay, let's see, this has this much carbs, this has this much carbs. You're counting each thing individual to count the carbs, right? Which
Yeah.
it was already a time-consuming process with one kid. Me having two, now times that by two, right? So even that in itself, like, I was taking minutes just to carb count for my kids. And I'm kind of going off track here, but I'm not. But that was a problem I was having as a parent, as a caregiver of a type 1 diabetic kid, let alone two. It was the carb counting part was taking forever. So how
Hmm.
do I speed that up? And I know you had done an interview with me before, and I talked about it for your
Hmm.
blog. But it was a problem I was having. So I am still working on it because I keep making changes. I keep adding new stuff. But at the time when we last talked, I was in the process of developing an app where you
Hmm.
just say what you're eating, like 4 chicken tenders, 2 cups of fries, 1 glass of milk, and then boom, it'll search online through the
Hmm.
USDA and other resources, combine all those resources together to get you an approximate, not a medical recommended, but an
Yeah.
approximate total carb count. So I was able to get a working prototype, which I use every day for myself on my phone. I just, which does speed up the process like very much. So I basically just say what they're eating, and then they'll tell me like approximately 90 grams of carbs or however the result is. Since then, with AI technology just rapidly improving every day, every week, I've added a photo feature to my app as well. So you
Okay.
can just literally take a photo of their plate of food and it will auto calculate the portions.
Oh, wow.
And so, because I didn't want to completely drop the voice feature, even though I had worked on it for so long. So I figured this is just another layer to the app and to give the parents or the caregivers or the type 1 diabetic themselves that are using it the
Mhm.
choice. If I just want to say what I'm eating quickly and get a carb count, or just to quickly take a photo and get a carb count. So more options, but that's a problem I was having as a type 1 diabetic parent. And as they say on Shark Tank all the time, like innovation is like the key to, sorry, innovation is something, I forget the quote now, but something to do with innovation causes necessity. And yeah, so it's just an issue, a problem that I was having that I'm trying to lock down now in the form of an app, and not just for myself and not just for my kids, but other type 1 diabetics, other caregivers for type 1 diabetics. And if it can help me and it can help my kids as they get older, um, my hope is it can help other people having to face the issue of carb counting every day because
Yeah.
it's no small task, right?
No.
It's time consuming, especially in the
Mhm.
morning when you're half asleep putting, and I'm always half asleep in the morning because I'm always going to
Yeah.
bed late. Uh, so yeah, kind of went off track there, but yeah, it's all in
But
relation to
that's
the
part of your routine.
yeah. So going back to your question, Monday to Friday is definitely like we try and stick to a routine, but it also helps that I work from home, and that's more by choice now, uh, because I am close to my kids' school. If there ever is a emergency, which thankfully there hasn't been, like none of my kids have,
Hmm.
like a lot of people think, oh, like if they don't, if they, they're going too low, they're going to pass out. Thankfully, that hasn't happened yet, because we do have technology that kind of
Yeah,
keeps
helps
us
you.
on it, right? But there are days when I have to go to the school because my sons, they both wear an Omnipod 5, which is
Oh,
basically like having an external pancreas on the outside of your body, and it has insulin in it. So and they're both on the Dexcom G6 sensor. So with that system, it works on a closed loop. So the pod's always connected to the sensor, and they if the sensor detects that their glucose levels are going too high, it will automatically give them micro doses of insulin to kind of
oh, wow.
get them back in range.
And
Uh,
that has worked for them, right? There's been no
yes.
glitches and stuff because I know
Well, there
some
are
of the
sometimes
adult ones.
there's always some unexpected glitch. Sometimes pods will fall out. There's always something, but sometimes they'll run out of insulin, like as I was saying, and
Hmm.
I have to go to the school, rip it off, put on the new one,
Oh, wow.
fill it, calibrate it. Yeah, it's a whole thing, but
So with the whole school, like, is the school involved? Like, is there a nurse that helps on site or?
when they were younger, they would have a nurse come to the school because we just moved, so they're at a new school and they have been this year. But even at their old school, there was another kid who was younger who also had type 1. So there was a nurse that would kind of be at the school, and
Hmm.
whenever it was time to eat, like she would administer. Back then they had their pens too, so
Okay.
she would administer the insulin, right? Now that my two are older, and my 10-year-old had the benefit of learning quickly and knowing about it too, just because his older brother had it. In fact, when he was diagnosed, the first thing he said was the only good part about this is his older brother has it too, and he can help him. Like that was his mentality.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, there is the option for the nurse, but they're at the point, thankfully, where at school they don't need it because I write their carbs on their lunches every day. in the morning, and they know what to do on. So they have a separate device that they carry too, that connects to the. It sounds crazy, but they have a separate device. They have their phones, which they have.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I never plan on getting my kids cell phones this early, but the cell phone is key to connect with the sensor because
Yeah.
it shows their glucose readings on the phone. And then for the Omnipod itself, in the States right now, you don't need a separate device. You can actually do it right off your phone.
Yeah.
But here in Canada, still, we take forever, our healthcare system, on approving stuff, as one thing I've learned as well. They have to have a separate device, which is called a PDM. And this PDM device is what actually lets them connect with the insulin pod to give them insulin. So if they open their lunch and they see like, oh, my first meal, because they get two breaks, so there's two meals, right?
Okay.
They'll see that their first meal, oh, 30 carbs. So they'll put 30, enter, and they'll get the insulin before they eat. And it's always important to get the insulin before you eat because your body actually takes longer to absorb the insulin than it does to actually absorbs the carbs.
Okay.
So like if
So
you
how long before they can eat? So they put in their carbs. Sorry for
So
all the
see,
multiple
even that
questions.
in even that in itself depends on the type of insulin you're on, because there's
Oh wow. Okay.
fast acting insulin, long lasting insulin. There's different companies. There's Fiasp, there's Nova Rapid, there's yeah. So with the insulin that they're on right now, True basically they can take their insulin and then eat. The one they were on before, they had to take insulin and then wait like 10-15 minutes just to eat. So
Oh
yeah,
my God. Wow.
when I say it's a lot to remember and a lot to kind of
Yeah.
counter counter beforehand and predict, it is.
And
Um,
then your case is even more unique because I'm a firm believer every child is different. There's no one child the same. So
yes,
you have two children with type 1 diabetes, and they're not the same to begin with. So then I'm
no,
assuming that the type 1 diabetes is different for both of them.
yes, and again, when your glucose is going high, and when it's high for so long, that affects your mood.
Hmm.
You can't focus. You're not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
You're agitated. You're angry. You're emotional, right? And
Hmm.
that takes into account too. But one thing I will say, like they are different kids. My oldest is more shy, more reserved, great heart. And my 10-year-old again, he's more outgoing. He can make friends easily.
Hmm.
But again, I'm speaking as a father here, but again, he's got a great heart too. And both of them, like I said, my oldest, even though that was such a traumatic experience and as awful as it was, he took it for 9 years old, he took it like an absolute champ. There was an immediate understanding, okay, like this is happening. Um, it is what it is, and if this is life, then he just accepted it and that was it. And with my 10-year-old, I think it was more of a case where like if his older brother didn't have it, then there probably would have been more meltdowns, more
Hmm.
frustrations, but there was more of an acceptance and an understanding that okay, my brother's got my back on this. If even if I don't feel comfortable talking to mom or dad about something, like
Yeah.
I can go to big bro. We got this, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like obviously we're not a normal family, but and as awful as it is to kind of deal with type 1, it has brought us much closer together because there has to be a clear line of communication at all times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, and there's a lot more verbal communication and or hey buddy, you feeling good? You want something like, just yeah, there's it as weird as it is to say, like I'm connected at all times looking at my watch and they're connected using devices, but like as a
Hmm.
family, it does make you more connected as surreal or like again bitter. I associate the word bittersweet with type 1 because there's yeah, you don't want to have to deal with it, but it does, yeah, unless you live it and you know what every day is going to be like, it's yeah, it just kind of it's just life as I know it now. Like before I had kids, like I had a separate life, and then I had kids, and it's like, who was that guy? And then my kids got sick, and it's like, what was that life? So, and even then, for me personally, and this is just me being open and honest, like we all have Facebook, and we all, we get our memories, right?
Hmm.
For me, like, oh, look how young they were. Oh, it's sweet, but it's also bittersweet because it's like, oh man, like man, time flies, and oh, look how young they were. But it's also like the thought all of a sudden goes, creeps in there. Like, there's my kid when they weren't sick,
Yeah.
and you don't want to think that, but you know,
You can't help it.
you can't help it.
Yeah.
So,
But what
yeah,
from what you've told me, both of your kids are very courageous, resilient,
yeah,
and very intelligent. Because when I had, it's very different, but when I had the gestational diabetes, I was 33 and I was freaking out, and I didn't want it. Like I had a whole fit, but your boys are handling it like champs. So you as a dad, seeing them handle it like wise gentlemen, like what
yeah.
does that teach you? What does that show you?
It definitely makes me proud because, like, I know at that age, or even in my teenage years, or even in my young adult years, like that would just devastate me. I would probably completely shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, but and my oldest led by example there. Like as soon as it happened, and as soon as it just that became our new way of life, like he just took it like a champ. There were no, he just he knew it's the situation sucked, but there were never no tears and no, I don't want that, or no temper tantrums. He just
Yeah.
accepted it and adjusted, and he understands. I think the biggest change for him that he struggled with was like, you can't just eat what you want to eat when you want to eat. Uh, you know, like for us,
At,
it's
at a very young age,
yeah,
we
like
we
for
feel
us,
that as we get older.
yeah, like when we're young, you're like, we're hungry. Let me grab a
Yeah.
snack. Like most families have a little snack cupboard when their kids are
Hmm.
hungry. When you're young, when you're young and you're not, oh, let me grab a granola bar or something. You just grab it and you eat and you don't think about it. Like
Yeah.
my kids can't do that.
No, they're like,
They have to tell me that they want a snack or they want to drink something,
mm-hmm.
and it's always a carb calculation. Like, yeah, you can have water. There's no carbs in water, or yeah, you can have a Freshka because Freshka's got zero carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But yeah, or and it's a lot of buying diet drinks because the diet drinks have zero carbs. But then it's also the realization upon your research of type 1 diabetes that drinks with zero sugars have something to supplement that. That's also not good for you. So
Yes.
they don't primarily, like, the odd time they'll have a pop, but we try to cut that, like not make that a habit. Um, and yeah, for the most part, they don't drink pop, and that's just more by habit and choice, but like we don't deprive them of it either. It's hard. It's knowing which foods have what carbs sometimes off the back of your head. A lot of times I do carb counting now and I don't even have to use my own app because my brain just remembers, oh yeah, that's 30 carbs. Or oh yeah, that's 40 carbs. Things I have to remember that no other parent even thinks about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how you and your wife do it. So kudos to both of you.
My wife being a nurse definitely helps. Even when she's at work now, like again, I'm speaking for her, but like it just is just a conversation we've had. Like she can't escape it at work. Like she's got to deal with diabetes. Like my wife works 12-hour days and like comes home and then sometimes still and then has to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
But even at work, like she's become the go-to diabetes person just because of her knowledge on it. Because like me, we both had to learn more about it. So even at work, she has to deal with diabetic patients and people come up to her, other nurses come up to her asking her something about diabetes. And I mean, obviously she's more than happy to help because that's her job, but
Yeah.
there is that sense like, man, you're dealing with diabetes all day at work for your profession. You're coming home and it's in your everyday life with your kids, and there is no escaping it. I went to Japan a couple months ago, which was it's extremely hard because I'd never been away from my kids that long. I was gone for 2 weeks. But I went with the understanding, knowing like my wife's got this. We have
Mhm.
we have even though her family doesn't understand 100% how diabetes work, like they're there to help in any way they can in my absence. Uh, but even then in Japan, like there's no stopping me from doing this, even though I know there's nothing, I am
Mhm.
physically incapable of doing anything about it.
Yeah,
But it just becomes habit. I look, and again, I'm looking right now, and thankfully they're both in range. They're good.
that's good. So, what would you say is the biggest myth or misconception about type 1 diabetes in kids that you guys have? Like, I'm sure you face so many of them
Yeah,
today, but
that's actually quite easy to answer, and I'm going to be blunt. It's the fact that people just assume I did this to my kids, or me and my wife did this to my kids because of what we fed our kids. We gave them too much sugar, and there's the instant like judgment you get out of pure ignorance of not knowing about how it actually works. And us not knowing when our first was diagnosed ourselves, there is that guilt, like, oh my God, like
Mhm.
maybe we have been giving him too much sugar and he has been eating like there's all these doubts and stuff. But like from an outsider who doesn't know, yeah, that's the biggest misconception is, oh, your as terrible as this is to say, your kid got sick because of because of the crap foods you were giving them, or you gave your kid too much sugar. And
And we know that's not the case. So
yeah,
that's why these conversations are so
I
important
know
to have.
now it's not the case,
Yeah.
but in the beginning I didn't. But my hope in opening up about this is, especially if there's someone listening to this and your kid was just diagnosed. Yeah, I know you're feeling guilty, but it's not your fault. Type 2 is manageable, is curable if you change your diet. We know this based on fact. But type 1's a whole different ball game. It's your and that's the other misconception too, is a lot of people think when you get type 1 that, oh, your pancreas is dead. A lot of times it's not so much your pancreas died. Your pancreas is still producing insulin. It's your body's natural immune system that's fighting back and not accepting it.
Hmm.
So it depends. Like in some cases, yeah, the pancreas does die and it's not producing insulin. That you need a synthetic source of insulin, which is what we have. But yeah, there's so many different things. But in terms of like the general audience misconception, it's yeah, you gave your kid too much sugar, you fed your kid crap food. This is why they got what they have. And I know now that's not the case, but in the beginning when you don't, and you've just gone through that experience as I described with my oldest, it's a terrible place to be in. And but even then it didn't really. Like obviously obviously at that moment I took a break from comedy Portuguese because my mind was 100% dedicated on my son and figuring out everything. But even then, like I've always been that kind of person where like even when you're going through the worst times, you want to still put on a smile and make other people happy because you don't want
Hmm.
you know how it feels to be in a bad spot and not feeling good. And you don't want other people to feel like that, right?
Yeah,
Which going back to my comedy Portuguese, yeah, I've always just been that person where I've always enjoyed making people laugh, and because it doesn't cost me anything to make someone laugh. And even if I had an infinite amount of wealth, like I would spread, I would help people with it because if I'm helping someone, like to me, helping people just puts a smile on my face, right?
that's
So
great.
by opening up now, I hope even if it only reaches one person and they get it, like even if this interview just helps one person, to me it's fine, right? It
Yeah.
sounds cliche, but it's true.
So, have you ever had a moment where you would need to do some extra advocating for your sons, like for school, sports, activities?
Um, yeah. Um, this is when my first was diagnosed, and when he finally went back to, so we was at the hospital for a week, and then home the following week. So he was out of school for like 2 weeks. When he finally went back to school, uh, there was, I'm not going to say bullying. It wasn't even bullying. It was kids just kind of alienated him. There's a
Oh, wow.
misconception that, oh, Tatum's got type 1 diabetes. I don't want to get type 1 diabetes too.
Oh, wow.
They actually brought in a team called the Dia Buddies, and they're a group that go to schools and they talk about type 1 diabetes to educate kids on it. So this group actually, and credit to the school, like the school contacted them. They came in and they explained to they had a thing with the class explaining that, just because Tatum got this doesn't mean you're gonna get it. And they explained that it's
Mm-hmm.
an autoimmune disease. But yeah, that was hard because,
Yeah.
you don't want your kids to be treated differently. Uh, but it happened. Luckily, the school was good on that part, and they got that and they they were able to teach the kids, and from there, then it wasn't so bad. Like, kids, but yeah, so that it wasn't so much advocating on my part. That was a testament to the school and the teachers and the principal there. So
Oh,
uh,
that's good.
advocating on my part, it's more so just letting them know that, like, and it's even though it's tricky, like my oldest is 6'4", he plays basketball, that he can't play basketball like other kids. If he's physically active, guess what? His glucose is going to drop because he's burning carbs.
Yeah.
Exercise burns carbs, right?
Yeah.
So you got to imagine if you're running back and forth on the court, uh, you drop. So how do you counteract that if you're okay? You're 7, you're in range before a game. Go out there, do your best. No, that's not how it works. He's got to pound 1 or 2 oranges beforehand. He's
Oh,
got to
wow.
get those carbs in the system. So as he's burning those carbs and going down, his
Mm-hmm.
body is absorbing it and going up to kind of keep him there. The carbs are
Yeah.
kicking in and they're
So
burning at the
is
same
he able
time.
to play a full game? Like, does the
Yeah,
coach work with them to make sure, okay, he's okay
yeah.
to
But during
go?
a game, it's constant and you're seeing double arrows up, you're seeing double arrows down.
Oh my God, that's so
When,
stressful. As a parent,
yeah,
I'm
there's
sure that
no,
you're watching, but you're watching your watch saying, shit, is he
and
okay?
it
Is he okay?
and it sucks because I can never just I grew up playing basketball.
Yeah.
I can't ever just sit there, turn the diabetes off and just lose myself in the thought of watching my kid play. I
Yeah.
can't. There's
No.
no there's never 100% enjoyment out of it because I'm constantly monitoring or oh my God, I'm running to the bench, drink this.
Yeah. I
Or
can't.
or I'm running to the bench and saying he needs to sit this next shift off because he's 2.2.
And have you done that before? Like, have you been in that position? So that's a
Unfortunately,
form of advocating. So there, you're
yeah.
not turning it off. You said it beautifully right there. You can't turn off diabetes.
No, but I mean, I have to be extra on top of it, so to speak, when they are physically active, and it sucks because, like I said, I can't ever just enjoy watching my kid play a game of basketball.
Yeah.
And the odds, and like I said, going back to just having a normal day, us getting through a 2-hour movie without alarms going off, or having the
Mm-hmm.
carb count because my kid gets hungry halfway through and wants a snack. There is no sense of normalcy anymore. But
You do
you
the best that you can with
you
the
don't have a
hands you're
choice.
dealt
You,
with,
you
right?
don't have a choice. And even going beyond type 1 diabetes, I, th I wish somebody had told me at a younger age that, okay, it's great to have goals, it's great to have dreams. Your dreams give you a goal, right? But no one tells you when you're younger, like, okay, it's good to have all those things, but the hardest part you're going to have to deal with in life is stuff's going to happen that it's out of your control, and how do you face that when it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can, like, there's a great quote in the Rocky movie where he tells his son, like, no life's no nothing, no one's gonna hit you harder than life, like, and if you let it, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently. And what makes you a man is how get up and keep moving forward, how you take the hits and keep moving forward. Like, I love that quote
Yeah.
because it's so true. Stuff does happen in our lives that we have no control over. Going back to your liver thing that you opened up about, we don't have no control over that. We just, okay, this has happened. How do we face it? And then sometimes these instances happen that compound itself and more is added to it. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
ask for that either. But again, I can't be in a position where it's like, it's not like, it's easy to say, oh, you got to be strong. You got to be strong. I don't have a choice. I
Yeah.
have to be strong. Like when you're put in a situation when you literally don't have the choice, it's like it's not really like, oh, okay, be strong. It's like, no, it's not even an option for me. I'm a father. They need me.
Yeah.
You just kind of go into that other gear without any recourse. Yeah.
Well, I admire you guys for all that you do and your app to try to help
Yeah.
other people too.
Yeah.
Maybe if anybody is interested, listening, wants to invest in an app in your app,
Yeah.
why not?
I'm working on it. My biggest thing is I'm a graphic designer. I'm not a programmer, so I'm literally self-teaching myself how to do it all. Thankfully, AI is helping with the coding, but it's a lot of no, yes, no, no, and it's a lot of back and forth on how I want it to work and for it to work properly. But I'd say I'm 60, 70% of the there now, so it's
Oh,
getting there.
great. So
Yeah.
that kind of brings me to one of my questions. So, what gives you the most hope right now? Technology, research, or something more personal in regards to type 1 diabetes?
The tech definitely helps. For me personally, though, like the tech helps, but the tech's not free. Like I said, they have their Omnipod 5s, they have their Dexcom G6, but like we do get government subsidies, but it doesn't cover all of it.
Hmm.
Um, I be, for better lack of putting it, like I'm basically slowly going into debt just to keep my kids alive.
Wow.
Um, yeah, the technology helps, but again, it's not it. Yeah, there's a financial burden with that as well. But for me, again, I don't have a choice. If the system that they're on is the best thing on the market right now to keep them in range, I need to keep my kids in range because the longer they're in range, the more healthier they're going to be long term. If they're high
Yeah.
for too long, you hear like if you don't manage your diabetes, it does have a horrible, horrible long-term effects on your body. You can have kidney failure, you can go blind, you can have amputations because when your glucose levels are so high for so long, your blood, think of it like your blood turning into syrup and moving extremely slow.
Yeah.
That's what having a high glucose level does to you. So if your blood's circulating through your body at a ridiculously slow pace, it's not getting the proper circulation that your body needs. So it is in long-term damaging your organs. That's why whenever they do go high, I'm like, you need a correctional dose. You need to give yourself an additional bolus, meaning an additional carb intake, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes those auto corrections don't kick in time, right? Sometimes they eat something that that really kicks in the carbs. It's like I said, roller coaster. Um, but again, them being on the system that they're on with the Omnipod and the Dexcom on the closed loop does help. Uh,
But it's costly.
it's costly. Ideally for me, I hope to see when they're adults, hopefully sooner. I want to see a cure, as I think many parents would. And I think
Hmm.
the I'm kind of going to go off topic here, but it's kind of on topic at the same time. Like the USA just, and I'm not trying to get political here. It's just what I'm saying.
Hmm.
The USA recently just dropped out of the World Health Organization. I don't know about you, but when I'm on my social medias now, I'm seeing a lot of other countries all of a sudden, hey, we have a cure for pancreatic cancer. Or, hey, we have a potential cure for prostate cancer. I've seen posts where China's now got a cure for type 1. Germany has a cure for type 1.
Hmm.
There's a uh, potential treatment now for Alzheimer's. All these cures are suddenly being made available. I don't know how much of it to believe because we live in the world of AI, and it's very hard to determine now
I know.
what hard to
So scary.
what you it's confusion, right? But I'm hopeful now because I again I'm not trying to get political, but the whole thing with the U.S. dropping out of who? How long has the U.S. big pharma been suppressing potential cures for
Yeah.
diseases that they treat?
Yeah.
Because obviously they're making billions in treating people. If all of a sudden the disease is
Mhm.
cured, you just lost your repeat customer, right?
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. again, I'm not trying to make it political or go
Oh
conspiracy,
no, no,
this
no.
and that, but I see what I see, and yeah, within the last 2, 3 weeks, I'm seeing all these posts about potential cure for this and that, and yeah, I've seen type 1 related stuff. I stay on top of that. If there is if it's proven and it works and the trials are there and people are getting cured of type 1, if I gotta if I gotta start a GoFundMe to heal my kids, I will put my pride away and do that just to get them where they need to go to get the cure. Because yeah,
Do you feel Canada's behind with, especially with type 1 diabetes, with what we make available for treatment and
oh,
coverage?
ab-
'Cause I think some
absolutely,
countries
absolutely. I was on just
pay for it, right? Some countries pay the full thing,
yeah.
and
We're so behind in terms of even just getting stuff approved by Health
Mhm.
Canada. The Omnipod 5, uh, the one before that was called the Omnipod Dash, and that one didn't work with the sensor on the closed loop system. It just you tell it to give you insulin, it gives you insulin. All it did was replace a manual needle injection. But the Omnipod 5, that had been available in the States since COVID. It took
Mhm.
it just got approved here in Canada last year.
Oh wow, it's
And
a
I
long
and
time.
I and like yeah, and I'm like checking all every month, like when is this thing going to get approved? My kid needs this. This is the best thing for them right now. So we were
Yeah,
way behind. And then in my situation, my circumstances are different where most families just have the one child. I have two. That is
yeah,
two kids I need to worry about. Two kids I need a separate sets of sensors, separate sets of pods. And yeah, the funding only covers so much, right?
yeah,
So yeah, that's something that I've tried to fight for and advocate for them for more funding, given my situation where I have two kids, but I have been declined every step of the way. But so ultimately, if that residual balance, I have no choice. It falls on me, so it falls on us as a family. So again, not something we expected, but it's something we have no choice but to deal with. For me, where do I see the technology and the research going? Hopefully, hopefully it's a thing of the past. I'd like to say sooner rather than later, but I'd like to think before my time is done on this earth that it's gone and I can leave this earth knowing that my kids are gonna be okay.
yeah.
They don't have to worry about this anymore. That would
And
be
I'm sure
that.
that's something that you
Yeah,
have in the back of your mind too, seeing as your kids grow, like what, uh, because of type 1 diabetes, what are they going to be limited to? And you don't want to have that fear. You just want to know
yeah,
that they could just keep living life to the fullest. We are going to wrap up very soon because I'm taking up way so much of your time, but this is
it's
so
fine.
insightful, so important for people to know. I have two more questions. One is
Yeah,
not on my script of questions. Your advice to a parent with a newly diagnosed child with type 1 diabetes.
my advice. First and foremost, they need to get in the head frame that this is not your fault. You didn't do anything. You didn't do any guilt you're having. You need to get that out of your head and focus on how your child's doing. In terms of, and when I say that, I mean like how are they adjusting to it? Making sure they understand, like, okay, I'm going to give you a needle now, and making them feel as safe and calm as possible. um just assuring them it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, even though in the back of your mind you're like, oh my God, it's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay.
Mhm.
You have to get the guilt part out of your head right away and just know that, like, it happened. It's time, unfortunately, like, it's time to switch modes here. Obviously, I feel me learning everything and anything I could right away about it helped. Just because if something did come up and I didn't have that knowledge, I'd be more uh you know anxious and, oh my God, what do I do? But learning about it will give you more um understanding and how to deal with it. But I'd say the number one thing is, yeah, don't fall into a guilt spiral or oh why me spiral. Even though I there are days there are I try and take every day day by day. Like I just I don't and that's not by choice. That's just how it is. You have to take each day day by day. You have to
Hmm.
try and be positive, but there are days where it's like, no, I'm not positive about it every day. There are days where I why me? Why us? You know, if I
Hmm.
there are days when I and the whole for me personally, this whole experience it shattered my religion. As someone that grew up going to church every day, being taught to be good to other people, and you know, you do good unto others, and God will do good unto you. Someone that's lived that style, that life, you know, if you know, it's completely shattered my faith. I'm not gonna lie, because it's my perspective is okay. Like I was taught to do good on for other people. I try to be good. I try to make other people laugh. And like, you know,
Hmm.
if I am such a horrible person, I look at it like punish me. Don't punish my kids. There are days I think like that, and there are days I fall into the guilt spiral, and there are days where I'm angry, and there are days when I'm numb, and there are days when I'm exhausted, which is most of the time. But for new parents, it's just understanding that, hey, yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, pun intended, I guess, but this is going to be your new way of life, and you can't let it sink you. You got to swim, you know, just keep swimming. Uh,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. Like, it's going to completely change your life, but you just need to kind of accept that mentality. The sooner you accept that mentality, the better it will be long term, I guess.
Yeah.
If
Well,
that if
that's
that makes
perfect
sense.
advice. Oh, that's perfect advice. They just have to remember that, their goal is their child. That's their focus. So that's what we sign up for in that dotted line without realizing we're signing up for life, no matter
Yeah, but
what.
we all signed up for life without reading the terms and conditions, I
I
feel,
know, and a
right?
lot of times we're like, "Oh my God, why did I sign up for this?" But I feel we are given what apparently we can handle. Sometimes it's like, really, why did you think I could handle all this? But uh, you
I
you guys are doing amazing, I think, and that I want to tie into the last question, which I really like, and I'll try not to cry. So, if your sons could hear one message from you 20 years from now, because hopefully they'll want to watch Momma Braga Unfiltered. What would you want them to remember about how you walked this path together?
hmm, I would say presence over perfection. And what I mean by that is like I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. Like I 20 years from now, I like for them to look back and be like, Dad did his best. You know, I like I said, I educated myself. I try and educate them. I try and educate other people. Um, like the most important I just want them to know like I did my best. They are the most important thing in my life. I put their health above my own, which I know I shouldn't because I know if I if I can't be healthy, I can't be at 100% for them. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I need to put their health before mine and put their health 100% before mine. Again, it goes back to that word bittersweet, but like for me, I just, you know, it just goes back to if before I leave this world, my sons have my respect and they just know like, okay, you know, given what we went through, like dad did his best. Those nights we're waking up at 3 in the morning, dad was there giving me something to
Mm-hmm.
drink, or dad was there giving me more insulin because I was going too high, right? Dad stayed awake, dad did what he could.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure your sons really, really appreciate you. So we are done for today. Maybe we'll
Okay.
have you back again.
Yeah.
But a quick promo so that everyone can listen to your album.
Oh yes,
New
my
one.
album.
The one
Uh,
that I have on repeat as I cook.
yeah.
because I feel this third one is my favorite.
Well, thank you.
Because it's you in so many different forms. Because I've got to know you over the years, I've had the honor of being your friend. So I know how much of you is in this album. Did you
Well,
want to
thank
talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, like it is similar to my first two albums where it's not just one style of music. You know, there's some I grew up listening to my mom playing fado in the background. So as much as I hated it as a kid, it's very nostalgic for me now. So like there's some, my first two albums had more funny and Portuguese dance songs and fados, right? But this one here, I think there's more like story driven, a lot more personal, as you said, songs. Um, there's a fado there called Candle, which in Portuguese is Vela. That's basically my life for those that want to listen to it. That one was very personal. But again, if I'm gonna get personal in a song, it's got to be a font, right?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna make it upbeat and catchy when I'm
Yeah.
talking about serious things, right?
Yeah.
But this one here, yeah, no, I took more inspiration of songs that I loved growing up, like the Bishinu one. Obviously, that's my own style, my own take on it, but Bishinu, Guamora un Bishinu by Carmen Silva, classic song everyone grew up on.
Yes, I love that song. And I love your version of it too. That's like
Yeah,
my favorite
well,
one.
yeah, thank you. But then I also took like a famous FOD, Non Vem Estar by Carl Holmes, one of my favorite, and I made a dance version of it. Call me crazy, but it works, right? Uh, yeah, no, it's more stuff that like, yeah, I feel like this third album is my best too. I'm already working on the fourth one because, as I said, I can't never not be doing anything for a long period of time. I always got to be keeping those creative juices going, keeping my mind occupied, especially of you know, taking a break from this sometimes.
Mhm.
It's how I balance. It's how I deal. It's how I get through every day, I guess, right? So yeah, no, if you
And where can people listen to it? I listen to
uh,
it on Spotify.
yeah, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on Apple Music is iTunes. It's on Prime Music, YouTube Music. Normally when I release it, it's normally available on all streaming platforms, iHeartRadio, Deezer. Yeah, it should be everywhere. You wherever you normally listen to music, just look up Ben Fate, because that's my online alias that I go by.
Mhm.
And yeah, you should be able to find it.
That's great. Well, thank you so much again.
Well, no
It was
problem. Thank
a
you.
pleasure speaking with you.
The pleasure was mine. Yeah.
And I will be sharing all your social media handles at the
Yeah,
end of the interview so that everyone can follow.
I,
Thanks.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to anyone who decided to listen. So I hope it helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is Momma Braga wishing you courage to tell your story and joy in every chapter.